You know, it took me a long time to figure this out. When I was in my 20s and 30s, I thought attractiveness was all about smooth skin, a full head of hair, and a six-pack. I used to chase that illusion like it was the key to everything. But now, with more years behind me than ahead, I've come to realize something powerful, something honest, the kind of thing you can only learn by living it. If you're an older man and you're wondering whether you've still got it, let me tell you from experience, you probably do. You just might not recognize it because the signs aren't what they used to be. Back when I was younger, attention was loud. Women would flirt openly. Compliments were tossed around like small talk. But now it's quieter. It's in the way a younger woman lingers a little longer when you speak. It's in the way she listens to you like your words actually mean something. That's sign number one. When they truly listen, not just hear you, but listen, because you carry a calm and a weight that younger men usually don't. You've lived, you've been broken, you've rebuilt, and whether you know it or not, that kind of presence pulls people in, especially women who are drawn to something solid, something real, something earned. And I want to be clear, this isn't about being manipulative. It's not about playing games or trying to relive your youth. It's about recognizing the quiet power you carry now. There's a shift that happens with age. You stop chasing approval and start walking your own road. That's sign number two. You don't need the room to notice you, you just show up. And people notice anyway. That kind of quiet confidence, it's magnetic. I've seen it happen again and again. You might walk into a cafe, grab your coffee, sit with a book, and suddenly there's a 28-year-old sitting a few tables over, stealing glances at you between sips. She doesn't even know why she's drawn to you, but she is. You see, women, especially younger ones in age gap relationships, they often aren't looking for perfect. They're looking for real, and real comes with lines around the eyes, with hands that have held loss and love, with stories that don't come out of a textbook. That brings me to sign number three. You've stopped pretending. You're not trying to impress with flashy clothes or fake charm. You're just you. And you know what? That's incredibly attractive. When you're honest about who you are, about where you've been, about your mistakes and regrets and dreams you still carry in your chest, that kind of authenticity is rare, and it's powerful. I remember a woman once told me, you don't talk like you're trying to win something. You talk like you've already won and lost and just want to be known. That stuck with me, because it wasn't always true. I used to talk to impress. Now I talk to connect. That's sign number four, you connect. Not through fancy words, but through presence, through honesty, through a gaze that doesn't wander, through silence that doesn't feel empty. I've sat across from women decades younger than me who leaned in, not because I was trying to charm them, but because I wasn't. And that's the paradox, my friend. When you stop trying, you often start attracting, but you might not see it, because sign number five is tricky. You assume they're just being polite. You tell yourself she's only laughing at your jokes because she's kind. You think the compliments are harmless flattery. But here's the truth. If you've taken care of your health even a little, if you carry yourself with self-respect, and if you speak from a place of truth, many women will find you deeply attractive, even if they don't say it outright. And even if you can't believe it yet, we men are taught to doubt compliments, to shrug off interest. But don't. Pay attention. That look she gave you, that wasn't politeness, that was curiosity, that was respect, that was interest. And let's talk about presence for a moment. Sign number six, you carry a kind of peace now. You don't fidget with your phone in the middle of conversation. You don't need to prove anything with loud words or wild gestures. You're just there, solid, like a tree that's weathered decades of storms and is still standing. That kind of presence is rare. And women, especially those who've been disappointed by immature partners, are drawn to it like warmth on a cold day. They don't want chaos. They want calm, and you are that calm. Now here's the last one. Sign number seven, you make her feel safe. Not just physically, though, that matters too, but emotionally. She feels she can open up. She can be vulnerable without judgment. She can cry without being told to calm down. She can share her weird thoughts without being mocked. That kind of emotional safety, that's rare. That's gold. And if you can offer that, you will always be attractive. Because the truth is, age doesn't matter as much as presence, as consistency, as the kind of love that doesn't vanish when things get hard. Look, I know it might be hard to believe. Maybe you've got some gray in your beard or pain in your back. Maybe you look in the mirror and see someone who's past his prime. But let me tell you, there are women out there who are not looking for boys. They're looking for men, grown men, with scars, with stories, with standards. And you, my friend, might be exactly what they're looking for. Not because you're pretending to be younger, but because you finally stopped pretending at all. I used to sit in bars and wonder if I still mattered. Now I sit in quiet rooms and know that I do. Because I've seen it, I've felt it, the shift, the subtle attention, the respect in her eyes, the way she asked me about life, about meaning, about choices, the way she says, "I've never met a man like you." And it's not because I'm special, it's because I've lived. And I'm not afraid to show it. So if you're wondering whether you're still attractive, ask yourself these things. Do people listen when you speak? Do women seem drawn to your presence, even if they don't say much? Do you feel more like yourself now than you ever did before? Because if you do, then chances are they see it too, even if you don't realize it. And that right there is the beauty of aging. You stop being a spark and you become a flame, steady, warm, lasting, and believe me, that flame draws people in. So keep showing up, keep being you, not the version you think the world wants, but the one you've worked hard to become, the one who knows how to sit with pain, the one who knows how to laugh with his whole body, the one who looks into someone's eyes and really sees them. That man? That's the man they remember. That's the man they want to know more about. And you might be surprised who finds you attractive. You might be surprised by how many signs were there all along. Quiet signs, real signs, the kind that don't fade with time. And if you've ever doubted yourself, let this old voice remind you, you've earned your place. And in a world full of noise and flash, your steady presence speaks louder than ever. Now let's clear some common questions. What does emotional safety truly look like in practice? And why is it often found more consistently in relationships with older men? You know, people throw around the term emotional safety like it's some trendy idea, but very few actually understand what it feels like. Fewer still know how to create it. I didn't always. Took me years. Took me heartbreak. Took me silence. Took me choosing patience over pride. But if there's one thing I've learned in all my years, it's that emotional safety isn't built with grand gestures or perfectly chosen words. It's built in the quiet, in the pauses, in the way you respond when someone finally shows you the parts of themselves they're scared of. And let me tell you, that kind of safety is rare, but it's one of the most powerful forms of connection you'll ever know. You want to know what emotional safety really looks like in practice? I'll tell you. It's when she tells you something that embarrasses her and you don't flinch, you don't joke, you don't dismiss, you just listen, you nod, you make space for her truth even if it surprises you. You don't rush in with advice unless she asks for it. You hold the moment like it's precious because it is. Emotional safety is when she knows she can bring you her joy and her mess and you'll stay. Not fix, not flee, just stay. Now here's the thing. This kind of safety doesn't come overnight. It's not flashy, it's not loud, and it sure as hell isn't easy. It's slow, it's patient. It's built over time, like a house where every brick is laid with care. And the truth is, most younger men haven't yet learned how to build that. Not because they're bad, but because they're still trying to prove something. Still afraid of silence. Still learning that strength isn't control, it's calm. That's where older men often come in, because we've lived enough to stop performing. We've learned that love isn't about being impressive, it's about being real. When a younger woman finds herself with a man who's not trying to rush things, who doesn't crumble under emotional weight, it's like she can finally breathe. I've seen it. I've felt it. She leans into the quiet like it's a warm bed. She shares pieces of herself that have been gathering dust for years. And when she sees you aren't running, when your face doesn't change, when your voice stays steady, that's when the safety builds. Brick by brick, moment by moment, until she no longer doubts that she's allowed to be all of herself around you. I remember once, years ago, I was sitting across from a woman nearly 20 years younger than me. We were talking about nothing and everything, and then out of nowhere, she started crying. Not loud sobs, just quiet tears. She looked at me ashamed. She said, "I don't even know why I'm crying." And I didn't say, "Don't cry." I didn't try to make it go away. I just reached out and held her hand. I said, "It's okay. You're safe here." And she let out a breath like she'd been holding it for years. That's what emotional safety looks like. It's not complicated, but it is deep, and it stays with you. Older men often carry this with them, not because we're special, but because we've finally stopped being afraid of feeling things. We've cried, we've failed, we've been the ones who said the wrong thing, and we've had to live with that weight. Over time, if we do the work, we grow into someone who can sit with pain without needing to fix it. Someone who can love without needing to control. Someone who can witness without needing to be the hero. And that, my friend, is emotional safety. It's knowing that when life gets messy, you won't be abandoned. You won't be judged. You won't be turned into a problem that needs solving. I think that's why age gap relationships sometimes work so well, because the younger woman might be at a point in her life where everything feels like pressure, expectations, judgment, speed. And here you are, older, slower in the best way. You don't rush the moment. You don't panic when she opens up. You're not looking for the exit the second things get complicated. You just stay. And in that staying, something powerful happens. She softens. She trusts. She lets go. But let me be clear. This kind of safety doesn't mean you lose yourself. It doesn't mean you don't speak up or share your needs. Emotional safety is a two-way street. You also need to feel that you can show up fully, that you can bring your tiredness, your joy, your honesty, that you won't be mocked for being vulnerable or dismissed for being old-fashioned. It means you can sit down at the table of love and say, "Here I am," and not feel like you have to dress it up with fireworks. And she does the same. When two people feel safe emotionally, magic happens. Real connection. Not the kind that burns fast and dies out, but the kind that glows, that sustains, that heals. And older men, when we've done our work, when we've stopped trying to be invincible and started choosing to be present, we often become the kind of partner who can offer that safety. Not because we're trying to win love, but because we've learned what love actually needs. Not performance, but presence. So if you're wondering whether you're still attractive, whether you still have something to offer, remember this. Emotional safety is rare, and it is powerful. If you can be the man who listens without interrupting, who stays calm in the storm, who doesn't run from tears or truth, you are more attractive than you know. Not to everyone, maybe, but to the woman who is tired of noise and ready for something real, you'll feel like peace. And in this loud, fast world, peace is damn sexy. How can an older man differentiate between being desired for emotional depth versus being idealized as a father figure or fantasy? This is one of those questions that most older men never think to ask until they find themselves knee-deep in something that feels real, but also just a little off. It starts subtly. Maybe you're dating a younger woman. She looks at you like you've got all the answers. She clings to your words, smiles at your calm, tells you that you make her feel safe. At first it feels good, feels powerful even. You think, maybe I'm just finally being appreciated. But over time you start to wonder, is she drawn to me or is she drawn to the idea of me? Is this connection about mutual understanding or is it a kind of fantasy she's built around the comfort I provide? And that right there, my friend, is the difference between emotional depth and being idealized as a father figure. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not that there's something wrong with being nurturing or stable. In fact, those are some of the most attractive qualities you can bring to a relationship, especially as you get older. But the danger comes when those qualities become the only thing holding the connection together. When you're being loved for the way you show up, not for who you really are beneath it all, that's when it stops being emotional intimacy and starts being a fantasy she's projecting onto you. And trust me, it can be flattering at first. You feel needed, wanted. You're the steady in her storm. But over time, if you're paying attention, you'll start to feel invisible inside that role. You'll start to wonder if she even sees the man behind the calm. Here's the thing. Emotional depth feels mutual. It feels like two people slowly, carefully, bravely letting each other in. There's curiosity, not just about what you can provide, but about what you feel, what you fear, what shaped you. If she's drawn to your emotional depth, she'll want to know what keeps you up at night, what wounds you've carried for decades, what moments shaped you and what you've never really told anyone. She won't try to fix you or save you. She'll just want to understand. She'll listen without judgment. She'll ask without agenda. That kind of connection makes you feel seen, not just needed. But when you're being idealized as a father figure, there's a different energy entirely. It's not about you, it's about what you represent. Your stability, safety, the wise, calm place she never had growing up. And while that might sound noble, it's not a real relationship. It's a coping mechanism in disguise. You'll notice it in small ways. She won't ask much about your feelings, but she'll lean on you when hers get too heavy. She'll praise you for your maturity but avoid your vulnerability. She'll say things like, "You always know what to do," but never ask if you're tired of always knowing. And after a while, you start feeling more like a therapist than a partner, more like a role than a man. I've lived it. I once loved a woman who made me feel like I was her entire world. She'd call me when she was falling apart. She'd tell me she felt safest in my arms, and I believed it was love. But the deeper we went, the more I realized she didn't know me at all. She knew the version of me that never faltered, the one who always had the right words, the one who never lost his temper. And the moment I showed anything outside of that, when I admitted that I was scared or tired or confused, she looked at me like I'd betrayed her fantasy. That's when I knew. I wasn't being loved. I was being leaned on. So how do you tell the difference? How do you know if she's really seeing you or just leaning on the image of you? Pay attention to her curiosity. Does she ask you hard questions and listen without trying to mold your answers into something safe? Does she let you be messy sometimes and still stay close? Does she allow you to be human, or does she crumble when you step out of the role she's cast you in? When you cry, does she come closer or pull away? When you speak your truth, does she honor it or change the subject? You'll also notice it in the balance of emotional labor. In a deep, mature connection, emotional support flows both ways. You're her safe space, yes, but she's also yours. You don't just hold her when she breaks. She also holds you. Maybe not in the same way. Maybe you don't fall apart as often. But when you do, she's right there. Not scared, not running, just there. That's what separates emotional intimacy from a one-sided need. When she's not just looking to be saved, she's looking to walk beside you. Now let's be honest, every relationship has moments where one person needs more. That's okay. That's love. But if the entire foundation is built on one person providing emotional rescue and the other person providing adoration, it's not love. It's dependency dressed up as romance. And that doesn't last. Eventually the cracks show. Eventually you either burn out or resent the role you were never meant to carry. So my advice, take your time. Don't be blinded by the flattery. Don't fall for the idea that being needed is the same as being known. And most of all, don't give up your emotional truth for the comfort of someone else's fantasy. If she wants to know your heart, your flaws, your fears, not just your strength, that's a good sign. If she's patient with your silence, if she lets you be unsure, if she sees your age not as a symbol but as a story, you're on the right track. We older men have something valuable to offer. Not perfection, not power, but presence. If someone truly wants you, they'll want all of you. Not just the version that makes them feel safe, but the version that sometimes gets tired, sometimes gets lost, sometimes needs to lean too. And when you find that kind of love, it won't feel like a performance. It'll feel like home. What does it mean for an older man to leave a legacy of love, wisdom, and calm in a younger partner's life? And how does that redefine attraction? I've lived long enough to know that real attraction has very little to do with surface shine. Looks fade. Energy changes. Time has its way with all of us. But there's something deeper that holds power long after the mirror stops reflecting what it once did. What lasts, what really matters, is the mark you leave on someone's heart. Especially when you're an older man with a younger partner, it's not about being the most exciting man in the room. It's about being the most grounding, the one who leaves behind a legacy of love, wisdom, and calm. That kind of legacy doesn't just shape the relationship, it shapes the person long after you're gone. And when you understand that, attraction starts to mean something different, something richer, something real. You see, when you're young, attraction often feels like lightning, fast, flashy, intense. But when you've lived through enough seasons, you start to learn that the kind of love that actually lasts feels more like sunlight, steady, quiet, life-giving. When a younger woman chooses to be with an older man, she's not just chasing experience. Most of the time, whether she can articulate it or not, she's drawn to that steady warmth, that deep calm that only comes from someone who's been through the fire and come out softer, not harder. And the beauty of being that kind of man is knowing that you're not just in her life. You're shaping the way she sees the world, the way she trusts, the way she loves long after the moment passes. Leaving a legacy of love is not about grand romantic gestures. It's about how you make her feel in the quiet moments. When the world is too loud and she needs a place to rest her heart, and you offer that without asking for anything in return. It's in the way you respond to her fears, not by dismissing them, but by saying, "I'm here. You're not alone." Love, real love, is in the way you listen to her when she's rambling through her thoughts trying to make sense of things. It's in the patience you give, the reassurance you don't even realize you're offering. It's in the stability you carry, not because you're trying to impress her, but because life has already taught you that storms come and go, and you've learned how to stand still in the middle of them. Now, wisdom, that's a different kind of gift. That's the quiet offering that only comes from living through enough hard moments that you stop needing to prove yourself. Wisdom isn't preaching. It's not giving advice with your chest puffed up. It's gently saying, "I've been there. Here's what I learned, but you'll find your own way." Wisdom is knowing when to speak and when to simply let her figure things out on her own. It's knowing that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is hold space without trying to shape her journey. It's being the calm voice in her chaos, not the one who solves everything, but the one who reminds her she has the strength to face it. And calm, now that's the soul of it all. That's what sets older men apart when they've done their inner work. Calm isn't about being emotionless. It's about having lived through enough of your own battles that you no longer feel the need to fight every little one. It's in the way you speak, the way you pause before reacting, the way you don't make her pain about you. It's in how you make her feel safe without a single word. Calm is contagious. And when a younger woman finds herself in the presence of it, it teaches her something no rush of passion ever could. It teaches her what peace feels like, what home can feel like. And here's what happens. When you offer love without control, wisdom without ego, and calm without withdrawal, something begins to change in how she sees you. You're not just someone she's dating. You become a part of her foundation. Years down the road, she might not remember every date or every conversation, but she'll remember how you made her feel about herself. She'll carry the way you treated her into her next chapters, maybe into her next relationship, into the way she shows up for others, into the way she handles herself when life gets loud. That right there is legacy, not something you put in a will, something you leave behind in someone's spirit. That kind of legacy redefines attraction in the deepest way, because it means you were more than just a man who held her body. You were a man who held her story, who didn't ask her to be less or more or different, who loved her as she was while gently nudging her toward the person she wanted to become. When you do that, your presence echoes in her long after you've walked away. Maybe the relationship doesn't last forever. That happens. But the impact? That stays. And in a world full of loud moments and shallow connections, that impact is worth more than anything money can buy or youth can chase. So if you're an older man wondering whether you're still attractive, let me say this. You are. Not because you've got perfect skin or a six-pack, but because you've lived. Because you've hurt and healed and learned how to sit quietly beside someone else's soul without trying to fix it. Because you've stopped trying to be the center of attention and started learning how to be the calm in someone else's storm. That's what younger women are often craving and don't know how to name. They're not looking for a hero. They're looking for someone who knows how to love quietly, deeply, consistently. And if you can be that man, not just on the outside, but in the way you live and love, you'll leave behind something far more meaningful than memories. You'll leave behind strength, kindness, patience, safety. You'll leave behind the best parts of yourself inside someone else's heart. And that, my friend, is a legacy worth building. If you liked today's discussion, don't forget to like the video. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to stay updated with every video we release. And yes, don't forget to share your experiences and thoughts in the comments. Every comment is special to us. Your feedback helps us improve further. We'll continue to meet you in every new video on this channel, so until next time, take care.